All right, so as part of our leaf and stem lab, I wanted to show you guys some more examples of leaf arrangement. So these are actually some persimmon seedlings that I grew. I know some of you guys grew some persimmon seedlings. I took a few that were left behind, but if you want some and you're around, I'll probably have more because I've got lots of persimmon seeds. So anyway, the persimmon, these are actually the cotyledons down at the bottom. But if we're looking at leaf arrangement, they are alternate. So we can tell that they're alternate because basically the leaves, there's one leaf at one node. So right where this finger is right here, my ring finger, that's the node. There's going to be a bud in there. And this little thing, this structure right here, the little stalk that attaches the leaf to the stem, that's the petiole. So this flat part's the blade, and then the edge is what we call the margin. So this one's pointed. So in the case, it's got a little bit of a pointy apex or tip. And leaves, a lot of times, are good ways of identifying plants down to species. If you can just find a leaf, sometimes you can figure out what it is. Unfortunately, with persimmons, they're very kind of generic. This is like about the most generic leaf you can find. But when we get into our next lab, the woody twig lab, you'll be able to use those. Okay, so here's another example. This is a plant that was actually grown by one of our students. And this is a plant called kenaf. It's related to hibiscus and okra, so it's in the Malvaceae. And you can tell that it has that relationship because all of the veins of the leaf come from one point. So this is palmate leaf venation. The margin of the leaf is serrated, so it's serrate. It's got a relatively long petiole here. And this one is also alternate. Now it's a little confusing because this is a tropical plant, so instead of the buds being quiescent, these buds are actually growing. So this little leaf right here, that's a leaf and a stem, that's a bud. Now if you can see these little tiny things right here, these little tiny leaf-like things right here that I'm just pulling, I just pulled it completely off. That is a stipule. So these are these tiny little leaf-like things that are the base of these leaves. So here's the long petiole, there's the blade of the leaf, palmate leaf venation, and serrated margin. Okay, so right here we have, this is a little plant called buckbrush, and this may look like it has compound leaves, but it does not. This actually has opposite leaves, and if you look very carefully, you can actually tell, kind of see a little line there, that there's a node in between these. So you can see there's a petiole, there's a node, and there's going to be a bud in between them. And you can tell by looking, since this is early spring, you can see that little spike right there. That's actually the old petiole. So there were two leaves there. This is a bud that's now growing out. And each of these is a single leaf. So this is a simple leaf that has opposite leaf arrangement. All right, so one thing we learned about in the stem and leaf lab is compound leaves. So this right here, this is a rose. This isn't just any rose. This is actually an invasive species, multiflora rose. And if you see these two little things right here, they look kind of like little ears. Those are actually stipules that are fused to the petiole. This whole thing right here on my fingers, this whole thing, let's break it off, that is one leaf. So right there at the end, that's the petiole. This is a pinnately compound leaf. So each of these is a leaflet. So this one should have had a pair. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 leaflets on this one. So that's one leaf. So in the wintertime, this particular leaf will drop right off altogether. So if you see the end of this, this is the stem where I pulled off that leaf. These are young leaves coming out. So each of these, this is one leaf. So the leaf arrangement on this since this is early spring, it's coming out of these buds. So basically you have one bud. There was a leaf here originally in the fall. Then you've got another bud. Then you've got another bud. Then you've got another bud over here. So you've got one bud on each side. So that's an alternate leaf arrangement. So alternate leaf arrangement, and as it's growing out here, which is a little bit harder to see, we've got alternate leaf arrangement. There's one there, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. It may look almost as if it's whorled, but it's not. The reason it looks that way is the bud is just opening, and this stem has not elongated all the way. So it's harder to tell. So remember, this is one leaf right there. There's another leaf, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves, and then we got a baby leaf coming out. So that's pinnately compound. So here's another plant. These are ones I actually am growing in my garden. So this right here is a pea plant. So if you've ever eaten peas, green peas, this is the plant that produces them. These little things may look like they are kind of extra leaves. These are actually giant stipules. And this actually is a compound leaf. So the node is actually right down there, again where my ring finger is. This is a compound leaf. Technically this is pinnately compound, so you've got 2 leaflets here. But what's unusual in this plant, in peas, the leaflet, the terminal leaflet, has been converted into a tendril. And this tendril is touch sensitive, so if I had something for it to hang onto, it would actually grab onto this and hold itself up. Because pea plants have a tendency to kind of fall over a little bit, especially in this much wind. But these are the tendrils of each of these plants. So pinnately compound leaf with the terminal leaflet being replaced by a tendril, and then it's got these really big stipules right here. Alright, so this is a clover. So this is another type of compound leaf. This is a trifoliate leaf. So occasionally these plants will produce 4 leaflets instead of 3, and that of course is the basis for the 4-leaf clover. But it doesn't happen very often. Trifoliate's a good type of compound leaf to remember because it's the way you can identify poison ivy. And over here, I've actually got lots of poison ivy. So if you, yeah, right there is poison ivy that is just coming out, and it's trifoliate. It's got those 3 leaflets that are coming out, which I cannot touch. I am very allergic to it. This right here, this is mayapple. So this has what we call a peltate leaf. Peltate means it's like an umbrella. It's got a single petiole at the bottom, and basically everything comes out from the middle. So Podophyllum peltatum, partly because it's got a peltate leaf.